Hello, parents and guardians, and welcome back to another Discipleship Debrief. So this past Sunday, CBC Youth continued our series in the book of Ecclesiastes. We are actually getting into Ecclesiastes chapter 3 now, and then next week we will bounce back into chapter 2 as well. But this week we were in the first 8 verses of chapter 3, and we actually had our lead pastor here at Community Bible, Sam, we had him come and teach this lesson. And we were going through basically a section on time and the proper understanding of time. And I found this section very interesting from when I was mapping this series out, because it's not necessarily Solomon calling something vain so much as it is just exploring the kind of inherent logic of how foolish it is to wait for the next season of life before doing something. And he walks through how all these statements that are polar opposites, where there's a time to harvest, there's a time to sow, there's a time to kill, there's a time to heal. And he goes through and he contrasts all these times, basically saying there's a time for everything. There's a season for everything. And so we shouldn't wait for the next season while we're in a current season, because that's foolish. The current season we're in has a purpose, and the next season we're in will have a purpose, and we will waste the one we're in by looking forward to the one to come. And so Sam talked about this, and I mean, just how relevant this is to high schoolers who are really perpetually in this time of changing seasons, where you're in middle school, you want to be in high school. You're in high school, you want to get your driver's license. You get your driver's license, you want to graduate and go to college. You go to college, you want to be done with college and have a job. You're finished having a job, you want to have a family now. Like, it's just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, right? And how quickly we can waste those years thinking that, oh, well, when I get to the next season, then I'll be good. When I get to the next season, then I'll be happy. When really there's a season for everything. There's a time for everything. So Sam walked through that. He talked about being even-keeled throughout all of these things, noting the polar opposites, right? And yet our behavior is not meant to match the polar opposites and bounce up and down. It's meant to be just this real straight line through all the seasons of life, whether we are in a season of great abundance and happiness and joyfulness and everything's going well for us, or a season that's low. We're not meant to really go with the seasons. We're meant to stay even-keeled so that our identity is not found in whether the things around us are good or bad. Our identity is not found in whether we are super, super happy with the season of life we're in or opposed to the season of life we're in. Our happiness is meant to be found in the Lord straight through all the ups and downs of life. So it was a really good lesson, and I really hope spoke to, again, just the season of life that these students are in and that it's changing constantly. So for follow-up this week, you can reread Ecclesiastes 3, 1-8 with your student. And then Sam had 2 questions. He said these are the 2 most important questions whenever you talk about time or a season of life. And he said, number 1 is, how do I glorify God with the way that I steward this time, this season of life? How do I steward it in such a way to glorify God? Wonderful question to ask your student. Wonderful question to ask yourself, right? Anytime we are in a season of life, we need to be asking ourselves, what is unique about this season of life that I can steward my time well and glorify God with that time? So that's the first question. How can you glorify God with the way you steward time in this season of life? And the second question is, what is God doing to sanctify me in this season of life? What is God doing to make me holier in this season of life? What is unique about this season of life that God is using to mold me and shape me? Again, vital question. You need to be able to assess the season that you're in and tell what God is doing in that season, through that season, what He's teaching you, what He's showing you, how He's shaping you and growing you. So ask them those 2 questions. Follow up with that. Really have a discussion about that, especially you parents of some of the older students. Help them to see that senior year is not just coasting, getting ready for college. God uses that time, and they can steward that time to glorify Him as well. So hopefully have a good conversation with that in following up with your student. Next week, we will be back in Ecclesiastes as well. That is all I have for you this week. If you have any questions or anything like that, please reach out to me. Otherwise, see you next time.